Well, welcome everyone to our Monday night call. I am super excited for tonight's call. I have followed this woman for a really long time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to be on our team call. I'm super excited for that. So first of all, I'm going to introduce Heidi, who connected us to Dr. Beth. And Heidi has become one of my dearest friends, and I'm so grateful for you, Heidi. So Heidi hails from Prior Lake, Michigan. Nope, Prior Lake, Minnesota. Yes. And she's married to the love of her life, Chad. And if you guys haven't heard Heidi's falling in love story, it's like the magical Hallmark movie that you just haven't seen yet. So make sure when you reach out to Heidi or connect with her sometime that you get that story, because it's pretty magical. She has two beautiful daughters, Carly and Cora. And she's a dance mom. She travels all over with Carly. Right now she's in Texas and just super busy with the dance world. And Carly is an incredible dancer. She's retired from corporate America, where she was super successful. And she's a recovering yo-yo dieter. Have any of you besides me been a recovering yo-yo dieter? Okay. All right. She's a platinum founder and a credible health and wellness coach. And we are excited to bring you to the call, Heidi. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so humbled. What a bio you did up on me. I appreciate it.
Well, someone had to do it. You wouldn't do a bio on yourself. So,
it's a great way. Myself. I could write a mad bio for anybody else, but not myself. So thank you. Thank you.
We love you. You're incredible. And we're glad you're here.
I am so glad to be here. Definitely my home away from home, being with all of you amazing, beautiful people. So tonight, I'm so excited to have my dear friend, a lady that I've got mad respect for and have for years and years and years. She's helped me so much along my health journey. Even though I really learned things the hard way, she's always been there. With just an incredible amount of, knowledge and expertise and forgiveness, and patience in me and my ability to not learn things the easy way. But Dr. Beth Westy is a best-selling author of the book, The Female Fat Solution. She is the creator of a 12-week program called the 12-Week Female Hormone Solution. She has where you pretty much eat for your cycle. That's a method in itself that she has developed. She is the host of an amazing podcast called the Female Health Solution Podcast. She has made it her mission really to just change the way that women view their health. I think, and I hope that we address on this call, there's so many misconceptions out there, and Beth just addresses them and tackles them and breaks them down and just makes them really relatable and understanding, to all of us in our day-to-day, because so many of the times I think we feel it's our body or, the aging process or many of these different things. And Beth has really dedicated her life work into really crushing so many myths or misconceptions that are out there. So she really works super hard. It's her, love and obviously her passion, to work to educate and empower women to take their health into their own hands. And she uses nutrition to help women work with their natural cycle of their bodies and to achieve lasting weight loss and lasting results. That is not something that I ever really was able to achieve prior to, my work with her. And of course, with me finding Zalevo, it was just this beautiful match made in heaven. So with that, I would love to, bring Beth out here. I wish I could see her. Let me change this so I can, because I have to see her pretty face. Where is she? There she is. Hello, my dear.
Hello.
So I'll just start off here, hon, and Beth and I jibber jabber all the time. So I think this is going to be just very candid. I have a whole list, literally pages and pages of questions. And I know I won't get to ask them all tonight for you guys, but these are things that on my journey with Beth have just really been so amazing and eye-opening for me. So I want to try and prioritize those to just share those with you guys because, yeah, the work she does is amazing. So I think first and foremost, hon, I just thank you and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Are you there?
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So, hon, can you explain to us, and I just laughed when I kind of asked this question, are there women or people out there that don't have hormone issues?
I mean, yes, but also, cortisol is the stress hormone. So, I mean,
I knew that's where you were going to go.
Right? Yeah. So, yes, but no. Right. So there's that.
With stress, we have some imbalances in our hormones.
Yeah.
In other words. Yes.
Yeah.
So to just kind of, for folks that, maybe are just thinking that, well, this is a sign of aging, or this is the body that I've been given and it's never going to get better. Like what are kind of, I think some of the common signs or symptoms that people may start to experience at all phases of life that could maybe be a good indicator for them that, hey, you're not just stuck in this body, that it could be, you have hormones that aren't working for you, but against you. What would those, what are the most common signs and symptoms that you see?
Yeah. This is a great question. Fatigue is one of the main ones. Like, everybody's tired, everybody's overwhelmed, everybody has, not enough energy, and we're looking for different ways to boost our energy. And usually we're looking for outside sources, caffeinated sources, right? Energy drinks, which are poison in a can, other things to just try and like make it through the day. But in reality, if you think about it, if you don't have energy to make it through your normal day, day after day after day, how are you going to do more in your life? I mean, there's so many women that I work with, that I talk to, and they have literally amazing opportunities in their life that they are holding themselves back from because they're fatigued. Like, I got offered a promotion at work, but I'm too nervous that I won't be able to take on more or learn more. Or I have this amazing opportunity, where my like side business or home-based business or whatever that is, and they work a regular job, but they have this home-based business that they really are passionate about, but they don't have the energy to grow that, like all the time. And the most exciting thing for me is when we get like that fatigue piece taken care of, to be like, I just put my notice in at my job because I know I'm going to crush it, and because I've got so much energy. Like, that's one of the main things that people think, gosh, well, I'm getting older now. Well, I'm 43 now, so I guess I should just start feeling tired for the rest of my life. No, that is no crap. That is absolute. I talked to somebody today who we went over her hormone report, and she's 37 and was told, oh, you're just getting older. Welcome to middle age, honey. Was the excuse me?
That those words right there get a little fired up.
and it's ridiculous, right? Like, and sometimes you look at other people and you're like, gosh, they are 10 years older than me. How do they have energy, right? Or how are they doing these things? Why can't I feel that good and be able to do those things? Because the reality is that you're missing out on parts of your life that you can have, because you don't feel good or your energy is not there. And we oftentimes, when you try to get help from it, right, a lot of times you're just told, like, well, I guess you got to suck it up, or, oh, that's what menopause is like, so get used to it. I refuse to believe that. And I have seen it change for people again and again and again, for women again and again and again, that by doing the right things nutritionally, taking care of your body, unloading toxic overload, that your system gets refreshed and you feel better because you function better. That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Oh, I got fired up there. Sorry.
I know. I got a little passionate.
A little sweaty.
I know. Oh, I just love it. So, I think, can you explain just kind of initially here how and why you chose the label? What it is about the formulations, how you utilize those within your practice, and really why is the label? What is attractive, to you about it? I want to dig in way more too, but like I thought just to kind of address that right from the get-go and what you saw in it and what things were attractive. And I know you're all about the details. Like we just geek out on this stuff, you guys, when we talk. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, I would love to just kind of set the tone with that so people understand how, these things and taking care of your body, if you're putting Zalevo in and they've seen benefits to that, how really honing in, because truly, right, our hormones or the imbalances or the things that are good or bad or whatever are as unique as we are, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So
yeah,
100%.
Yeah. So one of the first things that I got attracted to was the adaptogens. So I actually brought these things next to me so I could hold them up and talk about them as I talk about it. So as a practitioner, right, I have access to literally every single wellness supplement line on the planet. You know what I mean? Like I can get any, right? And I look at formulations of things. I look at blends and all of this stuff. And there's a few things that are really, really important to me, especially when we're dealing with hormones, is that you have to have like the highest quality ingredients, no fillers, no crap, because that's disruptive and won't do its job. And then you have to have the right dosage. And that's where I feel like so many other things, 95% of other companies out there that make adaptogen blends or whatever, one, they don't have the variety of things in there. So they skimp on the number, but they also skimp on the dosage. Mm-hmm. So those are the things that I look at, because for it to be therapeutic value, like for it to do the thing you want it to do, you have to have enough of it. There's a threshold that you have to reach for each ingredient and everything. And that is one of the things that I love so much. Oh, yeah, sorry. I get super fired up about this stuff because so some of the stuff like this,
on a bouncy chair, y'all.
I do. I sit on a ball. So if you see me like just jumping around, like I'm literally on a bouncy ball because it's good for your spine, But that's one of the things that makes me absolutely banana sandwich is just like they'll put out stuff, and especially when they market to women, because that's my specialty, women's health, right? There's this phrasing called pink it and shrink it. And it is putting something out there that is like men's and women's razors, right? The man's razor is black and it's like $2.50. And then there's a pink one right next to it. Then it's $5 because it's pink. Like, get out of here, right? I see this with supplements all the time, women's supplements and stuff. Do you know what they do? They put less of the ingredients in there. Protein powders, all this other stuff. They literally put less nutrient in there, less protein, less fats. Oh, it's lower carb. That's not helpful for your body to function better, right? Oh, yeah, so one of the biggest things was not only like the ingredients. So this was the first thing that I looked at. I was like, oh, I'm going to check out their adaptogen. Oh, okay. Gotta look at this. And I was like, holy bananas. Like, look at all that stuff. And then the dosage of it. I was like, that's a therapeutic dosage. That's why people notice the difference when they take it. Mm-hmm. That's why people notice the difference. And the overall impact of it. And then can I talk about the protein shake too?
Oh, for it. Let's just dig in.
Because that was the second thing that I look at, because protein is the number one nutrient that women are not getting enough of in their day. Because we're trying to eat clean, we're trying to eat healthy, and
protein she has me eating. It's protein for days, all day.
Just protein. And when we look at the protein, like the first thing that I look at is like, what are you getting per serving? 30 grams? Yes. That's amazing. That's what we're looking for. For protein muscle synthesis, to actually build lean muscle in the human body, you need at least 20 grams. And that's if your digestive system is functioning at top speed, 20 grams. Because there's always going to be like, oh, I'm eating 20 grams of protein. Oh, but my digestive system is not great. So you're not absorbing 20 grams. you know, so you have to overshoot what you're doing here to get enough so that your body can build lean muscle. That's one of the key things. Like there are people who send me all the time. They will send me protein shakes, examples of them, like, oh, is this a good one? Is this a good one? And I'm like, why are you paying that much money for 12 grams of protein? Just eat 2 eggs, you know. That's 12 grams. That's a more cost-effective way to get 12 grams of protein. Like, give me a break. Come on,
Right.
you know.
You mentioned fillers and what you're not digesting, you're just shooting out the backside too. So that's all waste,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was the second thing that I was like, okay, this is organic, everything else, and then all of the other nutrients that are in here, right? All of the other nutrients that are in here, all of the minerals that are in here. So besides being protein deficient, mineral deficient. And to think about it, when you are under stress, it will leach your body of more minerals.
Yes. We had a deep dive on that one. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Just how it literally will zap what you have in there.
Yeah.
So it's so important to replenish. Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. So if someone is, you know, just kind of miserable in their vessel, what are some of, I mean, we talked about fatigue, but, you know, when someone is experiencing hormone imbalances, what should they do? Like, what are their options? You know, I mean, it was like, for me, I was eating clean, you know, I was weighing and measuring food. I was eating way under what I should have been eating. You know, I was an ingredient label reader for years, all of those things. You know, but like, what should someone do? Where do they start? And I wanted this kind of, I think really is the segue into, you know, like hormone balancing versus dieting, that terrible word that I just want to eliminate from my vocabulary. I know with my personal experience, that's what led me into the situation that I'm in, was, you know, trying to manage all of these different facets of how I was feeling and wanting to maintain weight or lose weight or all of these things. And one kind of really doesn't work with the other.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're looking at overall hormone balance and the importance of that and how it relates to weight loss and your metabolism, the first thing to realize is like what the purpose of metabolism is in the human body. Your metabolism does multiple things. It is going to help process things, process nutrients and things. It's also going to, you know, obviously burn energy, right? Burn energy somehow, but also detox. Your metabolism helps you detox. So if you are doing all the things, I am counting my calories. Oh my God, I talked to somebody last week and she was like, I don't understand what's going on. She goes, I'm in a 700 calorie deficit every day because she's eating so little and working out so much. 700. She's like, I hit that 700 mark of a calorie deficit every day and I'm not losing weight. And I was like, that's because it doesn't matter how much of a calorie deficit you're in if your metabolism isn't working. You are not a math equation, right? Your meat suit will not function if it's not right. If things are off. So right. You can't just, you know, input does not equal output here. You can't just, I'm going to calculate these numbers and have it work out all the time. And if you have spent time, and especially for the female body, because our systems are so much more sensitive to stress and things like that, and doing calorie deficits repeatedly for long durations of time, all that stuff actually slows down your metabolism. The more diets you've done, the more crash diets you've done, the harder it is every single time to lose weight. And that compounds over time. So this is, again, not an age-related issue. It's how many crash diets have you done? And finally, your body's like, forget it. Like this dial of metabolism, we're going to crank it all the way down. We're not concerned with burning energy. At the same time, it's also not concerned with utilizing your nutrients well or detoxing well.
Yeah, right. Just
because that's what your metabolism does. Yeah. So when you talk about that hormonal disruption as well, my hormones are off, you know, I'm fatigued. I have my hair falling out. I've got, you know, acne or facial hair. And I'm like, yeah, I get this chin hairs. I keep plucking them, but they come back. Oh my God. You know, I'm getting these hot flashes, like, oh, you know, all this stuff, like what's wrong with my body? You know what I mean?
like skin and I couldn't believe the change in muscle tone, like my muscles.
Yeah.
And I never had that problem before. I'm like, this can't be.
Yeah. You're like, I'm working out, but I'm not. And there was somebody I worked with who was, she's a professional athlete. She was a triathlete. So was in tip top shape. And when we had our first conversation, she was talking about how frustrated she was with her training because she took 6 months and trained harder than she had in her entire life. And I asked her, I was like, okay, well, so are you faster? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, you just told me that you spent 6 months, you like detailed, you know, all this stuff out about how you've been training so hard, you know, speed training, all this stuff, running on the bike, all this stuff. And after doing that for 6 months, you should be faster, right? She's like, well, yeah. I was like, are you? She's like, no. I was like, so what you're doing is not a relationship with how your body's functioning. It's about function. So if you're not building muscle, if you're not maintaining that, something is off. And a lot of times it's due to your hormones and then the connection with your metabolism. Because if your hormone balance is off, your metabolism is not going to work. And your metabolism is in charge of all those things. So a lot of those symptoms, people think, oh yeah, I've got hot flashes, but that's not connected with how I'm burning fat. It absolutely is. It 100% is.
So let's
sweaty again.
I know, I'm too. I turn up the fan. So when we talk about, you know, the first thing that you said was stress and cortisol. So when someone is experiencing these things, noticing changes in their body, you know, what used to work isn't, all of those different things. And I know my major factor in just my personal journey, it's all stress. There's such a hormone, like mental, emotional component. And the majority of, I mean, being so blessed by, you know, doing your program and going through it, it's not just about the checklists. It's not just eat this, don't eat that, and measure this and do that and get this much protein and don't do that. Like, you can be doing all the right things, but if we're not managing and guarding that space that is what triggers our stress, and like learning to live that and move that into our lifestyle, which, I mean, praise the Lord for the adaptogens and, you know, Fortitude 85. It helps me. It helps a girl, believe me. But there's so much more than that, you know. It's kind of everything, isn't it?
Yes, it's all of it that works together. So, and how your body naturally keeps your hormones balanced. And again, because I'm a women's health expert, so I talk about the female body a lot, but there is the same truth for the male body, right? When we're looking at the male body and, you know, balance of testosterone. I've done a few, this year alone, I've only done a dozen or so male, you know, hormone tests.
Hormones too. Realize that.
Yeah.
Guys have hormones too.
Yes. So what I have seen as a trend is males' testosterone is down, estrogen is elevated. So they have excess estrogen, lower testosterone, lower DHEA, which is other androgens in their systems, and more adrenal insufficiency or adrenal fatigue, which is the common term people know, than I have ever seen before. It is insane. And so the same thing with the female body, when you're looking at the adrenal function, cortisol response, and then how your body maintains estrogens and progesterones and everything, it's all filtered through mainly your liver and gut. I mean, a small amount goes through your kidneys, but when you look at how your body processes everything, it's either fat soluble or water soluble, right? And so when you look at those two pathways, if those two pathways are not functioning well, things get clogged up, things get fatigued, things get overloaded, or I call it like a log jam somewhere. It's not going to filter those things through, which leads to that hormonal imbalance, which then has that huge impact on your metabolism. And for a lot of people, it's like slowly builds, like year after year after year, year after year after year. Oh yeah, I guess I gained a few pounds this year. Maybe I'll just do a diet and try and bring it back down. And then there's a threshold that everybody has. And all of a sudden, boom, I put on 30 pounds and I can't figure out why. And my body is going berserk. And I feel like I'm stuck in a body that's not mine. What the heck? That's the function.
So for the guys, what exterior, what are they going to see? I mean, obviously we know the decrease in energy, but they see changes too with weight gain. Body
weight gain, belly weight, belly weight big time. And there was a guy I worked with. I did his first report. It was January, and I just did a checking call with him a few weeks ago. He is 25 and in the National Guard. He's in the military. So a 25-year-old male in the military should be at the peak of his physical, right? Yes, existence at that point in time. And he had told me over the past year, he had put on 40 pounds while watching his diet, while doing all of his military workouts. You know what I mean? And then, so I gave him a protocol to follow, and then we checked in about 6 months later. And this is so fun because he didn't really change anything with his diet. You know, he worked on his stress levels, his adaptogens, you know, all these other things. He worked on a lot of this stuff. But when I talked to him again, he was like, I feel like a new man. I feel like a new man because now I'm working out and I'm actually building muscle. I didn't realize how much muscle I wasn't building, but I had to crank out like however many push-ups, but it was super hard for me to do. He's like, now I do that many push-ups as a warm up. And I am like, you know, and he's like, my stomach is flat, like all this stuff. Like he literally lost 35 pounds like that easily, not changing his diet, not changing his exercise, but just working on how he was supporting his body with supplements and working on his hormones.
Amazing.
So, is that helpful?
Super helpful.
But a 25-year-old healthy, right? No other health complications or anything. His hormones were really off. Low, like below range testosterone and a way high estrogen. And he was like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm 25 and he's like, I have a beer gut and I don't drink beer.
Oh, that's so hard. And I think too, just so much of, we kind of talked about this at when we had the Minnesota event, but you know, like the food and ingredients and, you know, we talked about that. This is really going to get you fired up. The bliss point and how, how so many people think they're eating healthy and doing all the right things, right? Like we're doing all the right things. And you look at packaging and it's low carb or low fat, or go back to our Snackwell days.
Oh,
you know, and just what that does. So it's like, even if you don't think you're dieting, but you're eating healthy, you know, just how that sets our bodies up for failure. And I think it's so sad when we look at so much of the youth too, and how are they, if you don't know how to eat well in your home, or, you know, eat clean, or have the resources and stuff to just this knowledge in itself, much less, you know, supplements and everything in the nutraceutical space, you know, kids are, I mean, just what are we setting our bodies up for in the future, you know, because all of them are hormone disruptors as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. So we are overfed and undernourished because we are just not getting enough of those nutrients in, not getting enough of those nutrients in. So overfed and undernourished by eating foods that are processed and everything else. And the bliss point thing is that they literally use like food chemistry and the right perfect combination of carbs and fat so that it hits your tongue and you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. But it's not good for you. It doesn't give you anything there. So it tricks your brain into thinking that this is good. The visual on the packaging makes you think that it's healthy and all this other stuff. But really, you are not getting anything from it. You are getting from it. And so for kids and stuff too, this is such a big thing to have them, because their bodies then don't know. They don't know what it feels like to be nourished and everything else, and they won't recognize it. So again, having something easy like this to be like, hey, I'm going to get you some minerals, having this stuff in, it will literally change your taste buds. Yeah. I have this happen all the time by getting the right things in. And again, if you are mineral deficient, it will mess up your hormones. You have to have certain minerals to produce testosterone, to produce estrogen, to produce progesterone. If you are mineral deficient, you cannot produce those hormones. And you also will be low in things like dopamine. That's a happiness neurotransmitter. It messes up your brain chemistry. Like it impacts your mood and disposition and all this other stuff. So you sit there feeling like, why do I feel so blah? I had a gal explain it to me. She was like, I'm normally a sunshine person, but I just feel so overcast. Just deficient and depleted, right? And again, your meat suit cannot function, right? So you will not feel good. If you want to feel good, you have to function well. So when sorry, I feel like I'm going on a tangent, so I do apologize.
No, this is what you do. This is why I was so excited to bring you, and why I kicked this whole thing off saying this will be candid. Like this will go where it goes. This is not scripted. So bring it.
Yeah, it's definitely not scripted. But that's where, like, when you start getting like nutrient dense stuff in your body, when you start getting this stuff in and getting it in on the regular, you will notice like things that you used to like, things that have a high bliss point don't taste good to you anymore. Because your body is balanced, because it doesn't respond the same way. Then your cravings will change. What you crave when you crave things.
Yep. I couldn't drink a Diet Coke even if I wanted to. Like I can't.
Yeah.
It's changed.
It literally tastes like chemicals then. I had somebody, this is like my favorite story to share. She loved Reese's peanut butter cups. Loved them, like would have like 5 a day, Reese's peanut butter cups. And when we got started and I was like, okay, like let's try and like, we're going to do a detox. So let's try and like limit it to maybe 1 a day. And she was like, I'm going to not do it for 30 days. I said, okay. So she had a brand new package that wasn't opened. And then she had a package that was opened, like a bag. And she put them way up in her cupboard for 30 days. And on day 31, she was like, I did it. I'm going to have a Reese's peanut butter cup, right? I was like, okay. So she gets it out of her cupboard, has a Reese's peanut butter cup from the opened bag, spits it in the garbage. She was like, holy crap, this went bad. This is rancid. This is not okay. Opens threw that whole bag out because they were all bad. Opens a brand new bag, eats one out of that. Oh, these are bad too. It must be the cupboard that must have gotten too hot in the cupboard, right? Threw that out. She drives to the store. So determined to have this Reese's peanut butter cup, drives to the store, walks in and buys a brand new, right off the shelf pack of Reese's peanut butter cups, goes to her car, takes a bite, spits it in the parking lot, and then she sends me an email. What is going on? I hate these now. I was like, I'm so sorry. But yeah, she was very determined to have a Reese's peanut butter cup, and she just couldn't do it. And it's because her taste buds, your body chemistry will change. When you put good stuff in your body, it will change. And it's amazing. So a lot of times people get discouraged. I'm in a really tough spot. I'm in a really, I'm really down on myself. I don't feel good. I'm not sleeping well. I don't have the energy. My hormones are off, all these other things. And you get really discouraged because you'll try something and not get a return on that investment. You'll try something and not getting a return. You know what I mean? But when you're doing stuff that's just chock full of minerals and nutrients, just give it a little bit of time to like marinate in your system, and you will get a huge return. I mean, it's going to be different. Again, this gal, she was kind of pissed. I'll be honest. She was kind of pissed at me that she was like, I don't like these anymore. Are you kidding me? And I'm so sorry. Like, she ended up making them. She found a Pinterest recipe that was like, organic peanut butter. Yeah. A natural version of it that she ended up loving. So that was her treat. Okay. Yeah, fine. But that's the thing, is like just a little bit of time, no matter how depleted you are, no matter the tough spot that you're starting from, you're always going to get a return when you put those good nutrients and minerals in your body and just let it do its thing. The body has an amazing ability to heal when you give it the opportunity to do so.
Right? We're a body of regeneration.
Yeah.
And we talk about that all the time, and unlocking the potential, the miracle of the body by giving it what it was designed to have, and not all this other yucky.
Yeah.
All this other yucky. So I want to make sure that we touch on two things. The first one, depending on where, someone is at. So if they're doing this work, right, and you are in, how does it maybe vary from the female body to the male body? But I think, the journey it's not a quick fix, right? So we can get this stuff in, we can let it marinate, we can do all the things, but sometimes too, as much damage as we may have done, I know you've talked before about like the 90-day cycle. It's like for women, we have this 90-day cycle, and I'm curious what that is for men, but where people start to see that turnaround, because I think a lot of times we're like, A, instant gratification, and B, it's like, oh, I've been doing this for 30 days. I've been doing this for 60 days, and just throw in a towel and you give up, and it's like, no, I'm almost there, so
Yeah.
can you talk about that? Like the
time frame of what we're expecting.
Yeah.
Can I draw?
Oh, please break out the Sharpies, girl. Break out. Oh no.
Okay.
Break out the actual.
I should just draw stuff on here in a Sharpie because I draw this so much. Okay. So we're going to talk about this just real quick, very brief thing. And the other thing that I love so much that happens every single time I do one of my programs is that there will be spouses, significant others, male partners that are like, oh, I'll do this with you. Or the wife will be like, yeah, I'll cook, he's just going to eat what I eat. And, 8 weeks later, she's like, listen, I'm like feeling good and I'm happy with what's happening for me, but he's lost 15 pounds and looks amazing. And I've lost 2.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Being bloody.
Yeah. Right. So yes. And this explains why this is. And there's a lot of stuff so this is, a very crude, fast drawing here. But when we're looking at the female body here, the 28-day cycle overall, right? Day 1 is the first day of the cycle. Day 14 is about when ovulation happens. Day 28 is when that ends. This can vary, person to person, longer, shorter, changes with stress, etc., all the things. But when you break it down overall, like look at this entire month, right? If we split this into weeks, week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4, like let's just look at week 2. Look at how high that estrogen is. Look at how low that progesterone is. Oh, and then let's look at week 4, what's happening. That's a different body. You have 4 different bodies throughout the month. You live in 4 different bodies. And ask your male partners, like, do you feel like you're married to 4 different women? Don't answer that. No, that's a trick question. Don't answer that. They'll be like, yes. Because yes, right? So when you are making a change in your system, in the female body, it is going to take longer because you are literally going through these different hormonal changes. Week to week, your system is not the same. And in the male body, it's the same. They wake up and they have a daily hormonal cycle, but not a weekly, monthly thing, right? So, and then when we're looking at the female body and overall hormonal impact, things you do today for your hormonal body will have full impact 90 days from now. Mm-hmm. 90 days from now. So a lot of times, like you said, oh, I've been doing this for 30 days. Mm-hmm. Okay. You're looking at the wrong markers for success to see if it worked or not, right? Like the gal that I was telling you about with the Reese's peanut butter cups. Oh, right? Like, oh, I don't like my Reese's peanut butter cups anymore. That's a win. That's success. Get out of here with that. Are you kidding? I want to see my 20 pounds gone or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, no, your system has to function better and work better to actually turn that dial up on your metabolism. Mm-hmm. And for the female body, it takes at least 90 days. And that is if there's no other background things going on, right? So then you're looking at, there's some like functional practitioners that talk about for every year you've had dysfunction, you have to give yourself 3 months. Which is, it seems like a long time, right? So if you're like, yeah, I've been really struggling with my hormones for 4 years, you're looking at over 1.5 years. Oh, I've been 5 years. I've been really struggling for 5 years. Then that's 1.5 years that you're going to have to be consistent. And the thing about this is that it's not hard to do. It's just implementing these changes and letting it happen. Like, let it marinate, let it work in your system, and really recognizing the right kind of wins along the way. And then you're like, okay, yes, like I have to get 6 months into this and re-nourish my body. And I think about it like you're trying to fill a bucket. You're trying to fill a bucket. I'm putting all this good stuff in my bucket. I'm, all these nutrients and all these things, and I'm exercising, filling the bucket. Well, you have holes all over the bucket. Fix the bucket first, right? It can take 6 months to fix your bucket. Mm-hmm. And then you'll see, oh, now I'm seeing these metabolic changes happen. Now I'm seeing these things happen. So for the female body, we're looking at this kind of a time frame, again, monthly, but 90 days, or 3 months at minimum. And then for the male body, because it's a daily pattern, 90 days, like so much can happen in a male body in just 90 days. But again, giving it that time frame is important. Yeah.
And the healing, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not a quick fix. Not a quick fix.
No.
Oh, it's so disappointing.
Yeah.
So another question I have for you in the chat, I know is just awesome. Can you, within this cycle, since you have it up here, can you just explain to the ladies, and if this is different for men as well, how throughout that week 1, 2, 3, 4, how their workouts may feel different? Because that's something that I think so many of us are like, oh, it's psychological and it's me, or it's willpower, or I just don't have the drive, or I'm too stressed, or I didn't get enough sleep, right? All of the things. But when you section it off like that and you look at the levels, I love how you described it too, with like the running on week 1 and what that may feel like in week 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So quick background on like estrogen and progesterone overall. And estrogen, as it rises in through week 1 and heightens in at the end of week 2 here, and then it just drops off. Whereas progesterone rises here. Estrogen is actually going to give you a lot more energy overall. You're going to have faster muscle repair. Your digestive system is going to function better. Things will clip along easier here, right? So your memory is actually going to work better here. If you want to start a new habit, this is the time to do it. There's a bunch of different dynamic things about the estrogen. I call it estrogen phase. I know it's luteal follicular, but most people don't connect with that. So I call it estrogen and progesterone. But most people will you'll feel like, oh yeah, I'm feeling good. Yeah, love this, right? Like on day 7, right? Or, day 10, you go for a run and say, you're like, yeah, I'm going to run 5 miles, right? You get up, you do a morning routine, all this stuff, you stretch, you go for this run, and you're like, whoo, I'm making great time. Like, oh yeah, look at me. Oh, my heart rate is staying lower. This is awesome. I'm getting so fit. I'm so fit now. Yeah. And then after your run, you recover pretty well. And you're like, I'm a little sore, but not bad. Not bad. This is incredible, right? All of a sudden, 2 weeks later, at the height of your progesterone phase, 2 weeks later, day 20, day 23, whatever. Am I doing math right? Here, you go for a run. You do the same morning routine. You do the same stretches. You take the same path, right? You hydrated the same. You do all this stuff. And 5 minutes into that 5-mile run, all of a sudden, your legs are tree trunks. And you're like, what is happening? And you're like, oh, why can't I do this? What is wrong with me? And you take it personal. You take it personal that you aren't at the peak and I'm not making a good enough time. Why am I breathing harder? Oh my God, my heart rate. Why is my heart rate even higher? You have more blood volume here. Mm-hmm. Your entire system is different here. This slows things down. Progesterone literally means progestation. So it literally slows things down. It will absorb things. You're just muscle repair and muscle building and all that stuff, not as important. Your system is in more of a rest and repair mode overall. And to push your body harder, all you're going to do is make it harder to recover. Mm-hmm. Right? Versus saying, okay, I can still run that same 5 miles. I can still run this same path. It's just going to take me a little bit longer, or maybe I'll run intervals and give myself a break in between. Right. Make sure I'm getting my heart rate down.
Do something that's a little more forgiving on the body than beating it up.
Yeah. And then
So-
your recovery, you know, you're going to have to recover harder here. And in the progesterone phase, your body actually needs more nutrients, needs more proteins, needs more fats, needs more minerals. And a lot of times the female body does not get that. So throughout that week 4 here, you will notice you have more cravings and all these other things and bloating and all this stuff. And I remember so many times being told, oh, you're bloated, you feel bloated, then just drink more water. Well,
yes.
when you are in the progesterone phase, you need more minerals to upload that hydration into the cell. So if you're just drinking water all day and peeing all day, and you're like, I'm still thirsty, or I feel so bloated, I need more water. No. Are you drinking a gallon of water a day? Stop it. Have more minerals. Have more minerals. If you drink a thing of water, you should have a thing of minerals. That's going to help you actually get it into the cells.
Is that like a Propel, or like, I know, what do you recommend for that? Like, what is a water, right, that has those minerals in it? Or
yeah,
a
well,
shake,
the electrolytes, so my next shipment is coming tomorrow. Otherwise, I don't have the E-Vibe thing here. I don't have it here because it's coming tomorrow. It's coming tomorrow. But some of those things, like they'll have other things in them to help replenish your body, to help balance that out. I mean, you can make your own hydration. I mean, again, not Gatorade. Gatorade is, again, poison in a container. No. But, you know, you can make natural electrolyte drinks, right? Yeah. But that's the other, like, getting more minerals in will change that hydration overall. So, yes. The other thing that I know a lot of people ask about when we're talking about the hormonal cycle here is that if you do not have a cycle, what if I've had a hysterectomy? What if I'm in menopause? What if I'm on a birth control? Birth control puts you in a menopausal hormonal state, if you have not heard that before. So any younger female that is on a birth control, your hormone levels are in a menopausal state because it causes your ovaries to go in hibernation. These are ovaries. Instead of being active and like kicking out eggs, egg, they just hibernate because of the external hormone that you're taking. So your ovaries will hibernate and will not produce those hormones naturally. So what happens is that your levels are like this. So, and naturally, so they're just a lot lower. Sorry, this gets to be kind of messy. So you go through a slight hormonal shift, but just smaller scale. So it's still important to recognize and realize, okay, or if this is my, placebo week, breakthrough bleed week, especially if you're on a pill or something, it's not a real period because you're not actually ovulating, that type of a thing. But it's important to recognize that there's still a hormonal pattern that your body will go off of because estrogen and progesterone go everywhere in the body. They pass through the blood-brain barrier. They impact every cell and system and function and everything. So by following a pattern of some kind, your system will link up to what you're doing. If you're like, this is going to be my estrogen phase, like I talk about cooling and warming eating and a lot of that stuff. And I have a ton more information on that out there, but you can align your system with a pattern and your hormones are impressionable, right? Like around rather, like you move in with other girls in college, it doesn't take very long before your cycles line up, right? Right. I was an athlete in high school and college, and every single team I played on, everybody's synced up because our hormones are impressionable. So again, realize with your hormonal health, you have a lot of power. Like you actually can be put in control and drive your system by how you're taking care of it. And just recognizing that. So the exercise piece, like not overloading it here. But again, like say you're training for something, say you're training for a marathon or something like that. And you're like, okay, I have to put this many miles on this week. I mean, yes, absolutely. But just recognize I might not hit these certain time markers this day. Okay. Or make sure you're recovering extra, like really taking care of your muscle tissues and stuff, because it's going to be harder for your body to recover.
And how about postmenopausal women? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So that's the same thing where like your hormones are like on a smaller scale, right? on a smaller scale. And the biggest thing with postmenopause for women is that if you had hormonal symptoms before and you have a lot of stress, because postmenopause, women need more protein to do the same job that protein used to do. So you need to make sure you are getting extra protein. So like every time you have a shake, do a serving and a half. So, you know, like, because it's going to take that much for it to really work in your system, and giving your system extra time to recover. And then also managing stress. Stress and inflammation management is the biggest thing. Like a lot of times for postmenopause, again, you get a new body that you live in because your hormones drop, right? They just kind of flatten out there. So because your hormones drop, it's not bad. It's just different. Like all of a sudden, the body you were living in 5 years ago is not the body you're living in now. So it's just eating differently, exercising differently, acknowledging what that new body needs to take care of it. Is that helpful? Absolutely. I have a whole book on menopause as well. Eating for menopause. It's called The Female Menopause Solution. So
can I ask a question real quick, Beth, about, you mentioned from a hormone perspective, and I know it's probably not a one size fits all answer, of course, but for women, that young women, so my daughters, that are childbearing age, what do you recommend for birth control? So is the pill or some variation of that a good option, or should they be thinking about other things just from a hormone perspective?
Oh, yeah. So that's such a good question.
Sorry, I didn't. I just wondered what your opinion was.
No, so here's the so here's the thing when you're talking about birth control, things like that. A lot of the common birth control methods are a hormone-based thing, which actually, like if you read the full insert of a lot of those hormonal birth controls, like the amount of side effects, the risk factors, all that other stuff, there is a lot. The number of women I work with that have been told like, oh, you have a lot of anxiety since you were put on this birth control. That's not a thing. And I'm like, well, did you look it up? And I'm like, literally Google it. This birth control, this, insert. They read the full and I was like, oh, that's why, or this, I went on birth control and I gained 25 pounds like that. Yep. So when you're talking about different types of birth control, really hormonal birth controls, you have to like risk versus benefit. And that's something that like only you can really take. If you are going to go on hormonal birth controls are only meant to be used for a maximum of 3 years at a time. And then giving your body a certain time frame of a break, like 6 months. And most people don't know that. I talk to women all the time that, oh yeah, I've been on this for 12 years. I've been on this birth control for 20 years straight. Being on a hormonal birth control depletes your system of more nutrients, of more minerals, and all these other things. So it really does cause a whole host of side effects. There is a great book called Beyond the Pill by Dr. Jolene Brighton. If you want to kind of dive down this rabbit hole, she's a fantastic resource for this. And then when you're looking at things like, well, what about a non-hormonal, like a copper IUD or something like that? IUDs, and they say this as well, and what they were made for is that when you talk about women of childbearing age, if they have not had children, IUDs statistically work and function the best, and they were made for women after they have given birth. So every body is different. Everybody is different. So it's just important to understand, like, okay, I'm hopeful that my body will react very little or not at all, and I'll be one of those people. Okay, great. But if you're not, to have sort of a backup, because maybe that won't be a good option. Or again, if you are, like 15, put on an IUD, then at 18, give your body a break. And a lot of times, like in the age that I grew up, girls started the period at 12, and then they were put on a birth control, a pill at 13 or 14 because they had irregular cycles. It takes 4 to 6 years for the cycle to regulate naturally. Just like in menopause on average is 4 to 6 years or perimenopause before you go into postmenopause, right? Menopause, postmenopause. So it's like we're not giving the female body enough time to regulate its hormones naturally. And again, some gals, like just with their overall genetics, and everything else, that they don't have issues with it, and that's great. But there are a lot of other women that do have issues with it because it's not the best thing for their bio individuality.
Right. You think it's
Is that
something
helpful?
else.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I want to end with one more question. I know I don't want to go over time. But okay. So do you feel that by food alone, we can get what our bodies need?
Like by
just
Whole Foods?
by going to the grocery store, by going to Whole Foods, whatever it is, you know, or buying, you know, some things off the supplement shelf. You know, do you feel, because I know there's a lot of even like personal trainers or things, you know, people that are in the health space, you know, that work with people on, you know, maintaining healthy body masses and getting fit and lean and all of those things. And yes, I know you can do those things, say by managing macros or whatnot, but do you feel that the body truly can get what it needs by food alone?
I'm going to say yes, if you have a personal chef that is going to prep all the things for you and I mean, if you have a team of people shopping for the best food, growing the food for you, making the food for you, all of that stuff, totally.
Or not, or live in another country.
You know? You know, right? No, right? So, and in the thing that I think we have to realize is, and this is where I try to help educate people on kind of, you know, this is where you're at and this is the lifestyle you live. Do you like your lifestyle, right? Like, okay, like I love what I do. I love what I do, but I live a very busy work lifestyle. So there are times where I don't have time to eat a lunch. I have time to drink a lunch. You know what I mean? So am I willing to give up my lifestyle of doing what I love to do to literally cook food all day for me and my family? No, right? It's not feasible or reasonable and not a reality. And it doesn't bridge the gap for most people. You know what I mean? So is it a possibility? Yes. But is it a reasonable expectation, feasible thing for most people to do? No. I mean, even to have one whole food meal a day, I think is good in this day and age of you're busy. You know, I've got 3 kids that are in different things that I'm running around. You know, it's look at you know, you're in Texas or whatever right now, right? Like
I've been home in
on the go,
days.
right? Right. But this is like your lifestyle of really being a great mom for your kids is a big part of it, right? And that's what part of your like life's mission. So it's like you shouldn't have to give up parts of yourself just to be healthy. So, I mean, yes, it's possible, but no, it's not a realistic expectation for people to live their lifestyles unless you were to like move to an island and have a chef bring you all the food, which sounds so great, but
we'll hang out with our New Zealand cows.
Yeah, right? Tell me when that ship's leaving, I'll get on it, you know?
I'll be there. I'll buy your ticket.
Yeah, right? But
okay.
Otherwise, no. No.
Okay, so everything shared here tonight. So if you're the yo-yo dieter, if you're the stress mess, if you've spent years on different birth controls, if you've hit those changes in a man's life, you know, where they're experiencing hormone changes, or they've yo-yo dieted and done damage, you know, to their systems, is there ever a point of no return? You know, like, is this repairable?
So I will say this, the point of no return only is there if people give up. That's the only time I've ever seen a point of no return. If somebody's like, I've completely given up on it, then that is a point where it almost doesn't matter what they do. It's not going to come back. But as long as somebody's like, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. Like, I'm really going to give it a shot. I'm in a really tough place. I call it like how far are you from the starting line? Because everybody thinks they're at the starting line. I think I'm at the starting line. So I'm going to start this diet and here I go. I'm going to see progress right away. Well, you're not at the starting line. You know what I mean? You've got hormone issues. You're in the parking lot. You've got stress issues on top of your hormone issues.
I was in the hole.
Yeah, you're 5 blocks down the road around the corner in a ditch. You're not at the starting line, you know? So you have a lot of groundwork to make up to get to that starting line. And that can be, I think, a frustrating thing for people is that they don't realize, like, again, if you've been struggling for 5 years, and the thing that I find for people, like situationally, like take a look at your life overall of like, what's really happened for me. Like I talked to somebody last week and she had been struggling. She's like, well, I've been struggling for 2 or 2.5 years or whatever. And I was like, okay. And we were talking about how her health just all of a sudden declined. And I was like, listen, like what happened? Like what happened 2.5 to 3 years ago? She separated from her spouse, had to move because of a job change, and she had a family member pass away, all within a 4-month span of time. And I was like, okay, so that, like, even though you got through that, like that amount of stuff, the top stressful things in the human experience are birth, death, marriage, divorce, job change, moving. I was like, how many of those did you hit in a very short period of time? You hit 4 out of the 6 in 4 months. No wonder your system crashed shortly after. Mm-hmm. You know, you were in a survival mode and then everything just went, and you're thinking that just because you're eating super clean or doing Whole30, that it's going to reverse all of that without you recognizing you really need to replenish your nutrients. You have to work on your stress levels. Oh, by the way, your gut microbiome was destroyed. So you have to rebuild that at the same time. Like you have to work on all these different systems and start from like building a new foundation for your health and build up from there. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're just trying, you know, I think of it like you're trying to hang a picture in your house and you're like, every day you wake up and you straighten this picture. And you're like, the picture's crooked. The picture's crooked. You keep straightening the frame. Well, the foundation is crooked. Stop trying to fix the picture. Fix your foundation. You have to start with a new foundation. And that's the thing, that it's not ever hopeless. It's just recognizing and being really real with yourself. This has been going on for this long of a time. I went through some really tough stuff, which people do, right? And I'm going to allow my system to go through this process in this amount of time and use the right tools, right? Like use the right tools and give my body the time it needs to really make this change. Mm-hmm. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just have to say, what's that?
Is that hopeful?
It's very hopeful. I mean, I've gone through this, you know, and even though my body isn't exactly where I want it today or to be today, you know, size wise or body composition wise or whatnot, in learning these practices and having some grace and really giving my body, I never feel deprived. You know, I'm eating frequently and my body is so, I mean, just my mind, like Zalevo, like coming into my life, and the work obviously that I've done with you in the past, and then now just going through your program again, it's like those two things kind of marrying up have completely released me from that diet culture that I lived in for so many years, and the destruction that it did to my body and my mental, you know, state. And God forbid I pass any of those bad habits along to my kids who are so impressionable and are young, you know, ladies themselves. So I'm so happy to learn these principles. And I just want everybody on this call to know too, that your program is about eating for your cycle, or wherever you are, pre-menopause, post-menopause, you know, none of that, you know, just looking for weight loss, looking for better energy regained, you know, releasing the brain from, I mean, any and all of it. The thing that I believe has been so impactful is not only being equipped with doing the things, you know, like counting your, you know, knowing how much protein to have and eating the warming and the cooling and all those things, but it's the amazing work that you do with, you know, the mental and the emotional part of it. You know, it's like sharing these stories and these experiences and honing down on, you know, what events it was that took place, because a lot of times it is those events and those stressful triggers or traumas that have happened in our life that really got us into the situation that we're, you know, in the body that we're in, and our bodies are just trying to serve us. But we're doing everything to work against them. And, you know, I mean, you know, and I'm not even going to get all sappy and start crying here, but, you know, the work that I've done in being happy where I'm at and enjoying the journey, has just been profound. I mean, it's changed me. It's released me from, just those horrible constraints that I kept myself in, for so long. And it's just amazing how, I'm so glad that you're here with us and that you came to share with all these people tonight, and that you're a passionate, part of Zalevo. And I'm just so grateful for you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me and letting me talk. I love it. I love talking about this stuff. I love sharing.
Dr. Beth, you're so fun. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to expect. Like, I've been on your email list for like over a year. And so I knew who you were before you even came to Zalevo. But I was like, okay, is she going to come on and be super serious? And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so fun, like super fun. So thank you for blessing our lives tonight. And everybody just go like this to Dr. Beth. Be like,
oh no.
My goodness. We love
I want you to write a note to say I'm fun to my kids. That's what I want. Be like, I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
You are the cool mom for sure. I love that. So we're just going to open the lines. Excuse me. We're going to open the lines, and we're just going to everyone's going to tell you thank you. And I know how precious your time is. So you can jump off, and then we'll do some announcements and things unless you want to stay on. But we just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for taking the time to bless our lives tonight and to learn all the things that you taught us tonight. I've been a crazy hormonal mess for the last little bit. And like when I would run my marathons, I'm like, no wonder, like some of the marathons went great and some of them were really, really bad. And I felt like I was just like dying. So it's a good thing to know, to like work those around the cycle of the month to see which one fits in that time zone, right? Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, super valuable. Thank you. Thank you. So if everyone wants to unmute your lines, and we're going to tell Dr. Beth, thank you.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Thank you.
Amazing.
You're awesome.
Like, why? Why do we have to get off the call?
Thank you.
Thank you.